Welcome back to GameQuest, where we take a deep dive into the greatest games of all time. Today, we're rewinding the clock to 1994, a year that was nothing short of legendary for gaming. With groundbreaking titles across multiple genres, 1994 delivered some of the most iconic and influential games in history, from epic RPGs to platforming masterpieces to fighting game legends. Some of these games shaped entire franchises, while others set new standards for storytelling, gameplay, and innovation. So, let's power up and dive into the top 10 games released in 1994. We're kicking off the list with one of the wackiest, most memorable platformers of the 90s, Earthworm Jim. This game took everything we thought we knew about platformers and turned it on its head, injecting a wild sense of humor, fluid animation, and a bizarre world that felt like a Saturday morning cartoon come to life. You played as Jim, an ordinary earthworm who gains a superpowered robotic suit and embarks on a mission to save Princess What's-Her-Name from the evil Psy-Crow. The game's fast-paced action, creative level design, and outlandish enemies made it stand out from other platformers of the time. Earthworm Jim wasn't just fun. It was unique, unpredictable, and packed with personality. It would go on to spawn sequels, an animated series, and a dedicated fanbase that still appreciates its absurdity to this day. When it comes to fighting games in the 90s, Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat may have dominated the scene, but Killer Instinct carved out its own place as one of the most stylish and adrenaline-pumping fighters of the decade. Developed by Rare and Nintendo, Killer Instinct introduced players to an incredibly deep combo system, complete with ultra combos, finishing moves, and a unique cast of characters. Fighters like Jago, Orchid, Spinal, and Fulgore became instant favorites. The game's pre-rendered 3D graphics and booming announcer voice made every match feel like an event, and the killer soundtrack only added to the energy. The game was a hit in arcades before making its way to home consoles, proving that Rare could make a fighting game that could compete with the giants. Killer Instinct remains one of the most beloved fighting games of the era, and its influence is still seen in modern fighters today. Nintendo took platforming to a whole new level with Donkey Kong Country, a game that revolutionized 2D visuals with its stunning pre-rendered graphics. But it wasn't just a pretty face. Donkey Kong Country was a masterclass in gameplay. With fluid controls, challenging levels, and an unforgettable soundtrack, this game took players on an adventure through lush jungles, icy caves, and treacherous minecart tracks, as Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong set out to reclaim their stolen banana hoard from King K. Rool. This game wasn't just a massive hit, it was a technical marvel that helped extend the lifespan of the Super Nintendo and proved that the 16-bit era still had some fight left in it. To this day, it's regarded as one of the best platformers ever made. Before BioShock, before Deus Ex, there was System Shock, a game that laid the foundation for the immersive sim genre and changed how we think about first-person storytelling. In System Shock, you played as a hacker trapped aboard Citadel Station, forced to face off against Shodan, an AI that has taken control and turned the station's inhabitants into horrific cyborgs and mutants. The game's deep RPG mechanics, non-linear level design, and intense atmosphere made it unlike anything else at the time. While it may not have been a commercial success upon release, System Shock went on to influence countless modern titles, proving that a first-person game could offer more than just shooting. It could be a deep, immersive experience that told a chilling story. One of the greatest RPGs of all time arrived in 1994, Final Fantasy VI. This was the game that took Final Fantasy from a well-loved franchise to a storytelling powerhouse. Unlike previous entries, Final Fantasy VI featured a large ensemble cast, each with their own deep story arcs, motivations, and character development. And let's not forget Kefka, one of the most infamous villains in video game history, who actually succeeds in destroying the world, something almost unheard of in games at the time. With its emotional story, breathtaking soundtrack, and deep combat system, Final Fantasy VI remains one of the most beloved RPGs ever made, setting the stage for what would become one of gaming's most legendary franchises. Stepping into the world of real-time strategy, Warcraft, Orcs, and Humans was the birth of what would become one of the biggest franchises in PC gaming. Released by Blizzard Entertainment, this game pitted humans against orcs in a medieval fantasy world filled with magic, war, and strategy. What set Warcraft apart was its innovative use of resource management, unit control, and building mechanics, all delivered in a rich, lore-heavy setting. It laid the groundwork for a universe that would eventually become World of Warcraft. But it all started here, with pixelated soldiers and peasant grunts saying, "Ready to work." With its tactical depth and addictive gameplay, Warcraft, Orcs, and Humans was more than a game. It was the start of a revolution in strategy gaming. Few games define atmosphere and exploration quite like Super Metroid. Released on the Super Nintendo, this game continued the story of bounty hunter Samus Aran and her quest to retrieve a stolen Metroid larva. But it wasn't just the sci-fi plot that drew players in. It was the game's haunting soundtrack, tight gameplay, and massive, interconnected world. With its non-linear exploration, backtracking mechanics, and power-up-based progression, Super Metroid practically defined the Metroidvania genre. From the eerie silence of Planet Zebes to the intense boss battles against Ridley and Mother Brain, every moment was meticulously crafted to build tension and reward curiosity. This wasn't just a game. It was an experience that showed just how immersive a 16-bit adventure could be. Speeding onto the Sega Genesis in 1994 was one of the best platformer experiences of its time. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Knuckles. Originally released as two separate cartridges that could be combined, this ambitious project offered a massive game world, multiple playable characters, and some of the best level design in Sonic history. Players could control Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles, each with their own unique abilities and routes through levels. The visuals were vibrant, the soundtrack was electric, and the gameplay was lightning fast. This was Sonic at his peak, a platforming powerhouse that rivaled even Nintendo's best. It remains a fan favorite, a technical marvel for its time, and a key entry in Sega's legacy. One of the most iconic sports games of all time blazed onto arcades in 1994 and quickly slam-dunked its way into pop culture history. NBA Jam wasn't just a basketball game, it was a phenomenon, turning a traditional sports sim into an over-the-top, high-flying, trash-talking thrill ride that captured the attention of gamers and sports fans alike. With exaggerated dunks, flaming basketballs, and 2-on-2 gameplay, NBA Jam stood out for its fast-paced, arcade-style action. It was accessible, addictive, and outrageously fun. The commentary, featuring unforgettable catchphrases like, "He's on fire," became legendary. Whether you were alley-ooping from half-court or pushing your opponents out of bounds without a foul in sight, NBA Jam made you feel like a superstar. It was a pure chaotic joy, and it redefined what a sports game could be. And finally, taking the top spot in our countdown is a game that spawned one of the most legendary RPG franchises of all time, The Elder Scrolls: Arena. Developed by Bethesda Softworks, Arena was originally envisioned as a gladiatorial combat game, but evolved into a massive open-world RPG that would become the foundation for Skyrim, Oblivion, Morrowind, and more. What made Arena truly groundbreaking was its sheer scale. Players could explore an entire continent filled with cities, dungeons, quests, and secrets, all procedurally generated to feel endless in scope. It introduced elements like deep character customization, expansive lore, and non-linear gameplay that would become staples of the series. It was ambitious, flawed, and totally ahead of its time. Despite its technical limitations, Arena marked the beginning of something truly special, forever altering what we expected from fantasy role-playing games. 1994 was more than just another year in gaming. It was a turning point. These 10 titles weren't just great games, they were trailblazers, each leaving a lasting legacy that helped shape the industry we love today. Whether you were fighting off alien AIs in System Shock, collecting bananas in Donkey Kong Country, or slam dunking with your friends in NBA Jam, these games gave us moments we'd never forget. Which of these classics did you grow up playing? Did your favorite make the list? Let us know in the comments.